Sweet. Dank.
Hey, how
Good.
goes it? Ken Bozak here to talk about Bitcoin and Bitcoin accessories. And today I'm here with Nick. He's up here, and Kristen. She's right there with the awesome, colorful hair. How goes it, guys?
Hey
Fantastic.
there.
Thank you for having us. Sorry we
Yeah.
had some troubles yesterday, technical difficulties on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I know, right? Holiday and technical difficulties, first world problems escalating all over. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Kristen? Let everybody know who you are, what you do, and how you got into space, and then we'll go ahead and introduce Nick.
Hey, I'm Kristen Lip. I'm a starter of Agora Hive, which is a community that powers social media and is revolutionary because it's by people, not corporations or anyone that's seeking like power over people. So it's always people over profits here.
How should be.
We I start I hell yeah, started in this being an Uber driver, left Walmart, hoping to do my own business. I had been a taxi driver, and I thought I'd be able to do my own business essentially. And it turned out where we can't accept any form of payment. We can't promote our own business. Like we can't do whatever we'd like, and we can't set our own rates. So the fact that like Uber and Lyft are taking upwards of like 80% in some markets now is pretty out there, and
80%.
not
Wow, that's theft. That's straight up theft. I mean, imagine if your agent was taking 80% of your earnings if you were an actor. You'd be getting robbed.
right. And speaking of robs, Uber had been taking an extra 5% for months from me, and I called them on it. They had to return that and said like, "Oh, hey, let us know if you have any questions. Have a good day." I'm like, I should be suing the shit out of you, but anyways. So when it comes to a point where they're taking upwards of 80%, and I've seen 55% over the last few days that I've looked over my trips, like they've been taking 55% from each ride, and that's like a lot of money going out of our local economy, which means that that's less transactions in our local economy, and that's bad for our economy.
So
So I'm here to like help other drivers and other starters that like want to be their own actual business owners and run things the way that the way that they want to and the way that they should.
empowering entrepreneurs. Way to go, Kristen. Yo, Nick, who are you? What
Yeah.
do you do? Where do you come from? What's going on, man?
Uh, all right. Hey, man. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's been a pretty exciting time working with Christian since July. But I've been a full-time rideshare driver for Uber for the past 4 years. Have over 10,000 trips under my belt. I've worked with 5 different companies. I was here in Austin. I'm here in Austin, Texas, where they Uber and Lyft pulled out of the city, leaving 10,000 drivers without part-time income and over 1 million residents without a rideshare alternative. So I sort of made it through that storm of drama. I even drove to San Antonio for work, so to make ends meet. So I've kind of been through
Wow.
those kind of up and downs of the rideshare world out here. And when these new apps kind of got in place, I noticed that there's kind of different things that each one did differently, and and then eventually like 2 or 3 rise to the top. So I kind of saw how like new companies came in and tried to directly compete for market share in an open market, and I was a part of that experience. I was working for like five different companies at the time.
Rideshare
I made,
companies?
yeah, yeah,
So
I didn't
many.
even know there was more than like two.
yeah. I worked for InstaRide out of Montreal. There was Fasten, which is a Russian company. They were in Boston. Originally started as like an MIT experiment to create a rideshare app, and then they sold to a Russian investor. That was Fasten was the company. Ride Austin, which I currently still work for, is a nonprofit local rideshare company built by the people in Austin. So they have like a charity component to them. Fair was one I worked for that was out of Phoenix by Michael Leto, who started that. His whole deal was to enter cities where Uber and Lyft were having regulation issues and come in and follow the regulation and basically replace Uber and Lyft where they had gotten kicked out. of the local government passed regulation to kick them out.
Interesting.
So that was like Michael Leto's whole thing with Fair. So all these companies sort of like came down into Austin all at once to kind of feast on whatever the leftovers that Uber and Lyft left. I mean, this is a top 10 rideshare market in the country. So it was a huge vacuum left for rides. So it was very interesting times in 2016, and that left the door open for a company called Arcade City.
Yeah.
So Mr. David in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, they were having regulation issues up there, and he did a grassroots effort to start a new company. That company came to Austin to try to do the same thing, to organize a grassroots effort to sort of save the city during this rideshare crisis. He promised an app that was supposed to be developed that summer, but never really materialized into a functioning product. That left a lot of drivers, including myself, kind of disappointed.
Well, not just drivers, but also investors of the token that they were going to be using. Could you touch a little bit deeper on what Arcade City is, opposed to Uber or Lyft or something like that, or even like the what was that? The Austin rideshare group. That's somewhat like Arcade City, but without all the governance built into the code. Can you kind of touch on what Arcade City is?
Yeah, definitely. They're a peer-to-peer network that runs primarily on Facebook on a peer-to-peer level, so there's no really a third party. The members are vetted by the community, so there's no like central place where you become qualified or anything like that. It's sort of there's no requirement. I mean, there's people out there with older vehicles, people who may not have been driving that long, so it's sort of just like, if you agree to the ride, then you can take the ride, that kind of thing. So, but there are different guilds that they're doing currently. They're building guilds with kind of like their own community standard built in. So the guild that's in Austin offers $2 a mile, because I guess their members had a hard time agreeing on price. A lot of their customers sort of were getting tired of being charged one thing by a driver and getting charged another by the next driver. Yep. So they kind of came up with an agreement to charge $2 a mile. And that's sort of how they operate their business. So it's sort of whatever little clique you want to join, you guys can kind of team up and do your own thing. So which is great. You guys can accept crypto, or you guys can do whatever you want with Arcade platform, which is all good. Some people sort of shy away from it because it is sort of like rogue and underground operation. But then again, every rideshare kind of operates in a gray area. I mean, even Uber and Lyft have kind of moved into markets where they're quasi illegal. But that's
So you've worked with a lot of rideshare companies, and I think you named 7 more than I even knew existed. Kristen, have you worked with many more than just like Uber or Lyft or anything? Have you worked with like Swarm City or Arcade City or any of those?
So the way that it works here in Portland, like everybody's been too terrified to take rides because of like the city, and like basically the city has made it so, at least Portland and Eugene now have made it so that like you specifically have to use Uber and Lyft to pick up in the city. So like unless you're outlying in the suburbs, you're not going to do that much business there unless you already have like your network set up. But with like the way it is just there's no other alternatives. And when like you have something like Arcade City and Swarm City, or even like Agora Hive, like mentioned to these people, these drivers get skeptical because they're worried about like getting fined, and they're worried about the insurance and all that kind of thing, and that's understandable. But like we need to come together and discuss these matters and like make these changes, because Uber, like they got one over us and the government's letting them do it. And like if we all come together, we all have some solidarity, we'll have some power.
Yeah, no, so you mentioned Agora Hive there. I wanted to see if you could talk about the difference between Agora Hive and things like Uber or other platforms like Arcade City, stuff like that. A lot of the people listening may have heard of the other, like I have, and maybe not have heard of, Agora. Can you maybe touch on it more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that Uber, or excuse me, well, even Uber and Lyft, like, want you to specifically pay with a bank card, because just like the government and the banks, they want, they want their piece. So, like, you even have, well, before I get too off track, Agora Hive, like, is on social media. It's not just on Facebook. Like, it's across social media. So, like, whatever anybody wants to use, they can go on and use. Say, if they're conveniently used to using Twitter, they can use Twitter to request or provide anything. If they, want to use Cell 411, Cell 411 is actually, like, the best alternative to Uber and Lyft right now if you're used to using Uber and Lyft, because it's like that kind of app. But you can jump in there, and the difference is like, even between Arcade City and Swarm City, the reason that we left them is because they were using us and lying to us, saying that we were going to be able to provide, like, accept any kind of payment. So any method of payment that you want to accept, like cash, card, crypto. Like, I've done trading, like trade services. Like, I got a ride for doing a resume. Like, that is creating value because that didn't cost either of us anything. So, like, the difference is like, it's by people. It's not like a hierarchy. We're not controlling. We're not like running these crypto ICOs where we promise an app and we're gonna, like, steal the money, or it conveniently vanishes. Like, basically, it's just been with Arcade City and Storm City. It's been pump and dump scams. They promise us something, and it doesn't turn out like that, and it's like, money disappears. The CEO of Arcade City took all the money for the investment, the investment's money, and even the money, like, that they won at a competition. So,
yeah, I
like,
saw them
fact
kind of
is that
exit the space. It broke my heart because I really wanted Swarm City, Arcade City. I wanted it to succeed, and I want Agora Hive to succeed because I want these alternative means to ride sharing and barter economy that are set aside from centralized authorities, where they can't be, suffocated by censorship or regulations. It's self-governance, where the people get to decide how people use it, what people use it, reputation-based, like, it shouldn't go on, it shouldn't go on what collar you're wearing on when you get to work. Are you blue collar or white collar or whatever? It should matter what your reputation is with the economy that you're in. And that's
right.
not how things work now. And that works for the assholes in the suits. But, most people that can't afford suits can't afford to be assholes. So we're kind to each other because we barter with each other. So, Nick, where do you see this space going moving forward? Are you looking at regulations, worried a little bit about how, like, Agora Hive could be, suffocated by regulations? Or is it truly something so decentralized regulations don't matter?
Right. I think that's true. I don't think the regulations matter. I think technology sort of supersedes regulation. And, in the end, it's sort of, as long as you're not harming individuals and everything is on a voluntary basis, I don't see regulation really stopping us or being a barrier. Uber has sort of set the example for a company who operates kind of beyond the limit of the regulation. So I don't think it's any different than what we can do or provide. And I think that having the public support is very necessary. Once you have the public support, you can sort of change policy. So if that was ever a question, I think our generating a user base would sort of kind of give us a voice in whatever that regulation was. So I don't think they can stop us. I don't think they can stop the movement. Once enough people join, they would have to work with us.
Right. It's just like Uber when they forced their way in and people said, enough of the taxis because we can't get enough rides. It's just going to be like the same thing. Like, our economy is suffering. Our climate is suffering. Like, there are so many ways that Uber and Lyft, like I can list a handful of ways that Uber and Lyft are affecting our communities and, like, our world. So, yeah.
Well, I'm looking at what might even be passed the whole,
If
rideshare economy, because what Uber and Lyft is doing is taking what Yellow Cab did and evolving it, and taking one more person out of the loop. The next step from here is autonomous driving vehicles that don't have a driver, that nobody gets a cut.
Right.
Uber gets 100% of the money because there's no driver to give the money to. You just get in the car and it takes you from A to B. Now, is that good? Is it bad? Like, I mean, it would be a hell of a lot cheaper, I guess, if I don't have to pay anybody. Like, I just take a $2 ride across the state instead of a $150 ride. But again, what does that do to the economy? Are we replacing our fast food employees with the vending machine checkout, or we
right?
Or are we creating more opportunity? I get worried when I think about things like regulating positions of jobs and employment, like into positions where they just don't get obsolescence out. Like, maybe unfortunately the whole ride sharing thing may only be about 5 years left in it because the technology will advance past it.
Right. We have to make this transition.
Yeah, no, exactly.
We have to make this transition. There's so many of us. I mean, there are people that are like my parents' age or older that I've seen that are out here trying to make an extra buck just to make ends meet.
Well, there's the fortunate and the unfortunate too, right? There's some people out there that have 5 vehicles to the family and they only need 1 or 2. I think they're going to be able to rent out those 3 vehicles and they're going to do work. You're going to own a car and your car is going to go out and do work while you're sleeping for 8 hours. Oh no, it froze. There we go.
There's so much more. I mean, like, we could be cool. Yeah, like Walmart's got shoppers. What about all these other stores? Like, I know Grocery Outlet needs it. I know Winco needs it. Like, there are other places that we could be working right now, but we're all sitting here going, look at this parking lot full of cars. Like, there's taxi drivers over there. There's TNC drivers over here. And we're all just sitting here waiting for pennies and kibbles and
DoorDash did, right? Like, Uber's cool as hell. I didn't even think when Uber came out and all these ride-sharing things were coming out that I'd be able to order McDonald's. Like, I could pick up my friend from, like, his house. Like, I was like, what? And now all of a sudden I can get munchies delivered, snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is next?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Like, on that point, like, you see a lot of these blue collar and white collar jobs sort of disappearing, and even like drivers like myself and delivery people can become extinct pretty easily. You just hit a button and put your delivery in a car and just takes off whatever you want. But I think that, like, supplying these vehicles is going to kind of provide a whole new, like, opportunity for people. So I mean, I'm not afraid of automation. I think it's going to be a lot more jobs created because of it. We're just gonna have to be like more like selective,
open-minded
jobs. But right. But I mean, like through our human network or whatever. Like, say all these cars get requested on the same day, and you don't have anything to move. Like everything is pretty much taken. You have no other way to get a car. You can call on a network like ours. It'd be like, we'll go ahead and send you somebody. We got somebody in backup that can come get you or whatever. So it's important to understand that when these technologies become like in every important part of everyday life, if they actually break down at any moment, will you have that human network to depend on? And I think that's important to remember, that it's important to have these back channels and backup systems in place that can, like, call on the human network to provide the similar service that automation could if automation ever failed. And so, like, I think offline. It's sort of like a doomsday network if you ever needed it.
Right. And we're not going to be fully automated, in 5 years, but it will be starting out. So you're right. I think you're right. You want to make sure you're building a foundation for something, so in case something falls, there's something to land on.
Right. And so, like, if you're going to call an Uber and then, nobody's attached to that Uber and that company just doesn't provide you service, who are you going to turn to next? And you're going to, at least with our app, we're going to have, maybe partner with automation, but you're going to have that backup, that somebody you can talk to, somebody you can call, just in case these companies don't want to deal with you or can't get to you. You're in a remote location. Heaven forbid you don't have cell phone service or something. We want to make sure to provide you that service that these machines can't get to, or situations you'll get into. So,
Well, I wanted to dive a little into Agora Hive and just pick your brains. Is there its own token? How far are you using the project? Stuff like that. Just wondering a little bit about Agora here. Is it similar to other these utility platforms? Do you have a token? Do you use Bitcoin? What's the roadmap look like? I got a bunch of those questions. Who wants to take them?
Let's do this.
Yeah.
You want to start or do you want me to start?
No, go ahead, Kristen. You got it. Yeah, I mean,
So I know.
I was just going to put a note. We do have documents in the works. Kind of, we have a business plan and white paper. Our approach is a little bit different. We're sort of a hybrid of the ICO world and sort of a traditional angel investment. So just keep that in mind. We do have documents provided for the audience, for you guys to kind of attach to it at a later date. So just bear with us as we get all those prepared. But just bear in mind that we are both crypto and we are both traditional. So we have to find a business model that meshes the two. So just keep that in mind as we kind of explain ourselves.
Okay.
So right now, as it sits, anybody can use any kind of currency on any platform. Like I said, on social media that they're used to using. All they have to do really is look for Agora Hive, drop in our groups and all that. So they can pay with anything that they want, or like accept anything that they want. If they want to use Coinami, Coinbase, like whatever is good for them on crypto, they can trade any kind of crypto. Like that's another thing that was about AC and SC is that it was supposed to be only like their tokens, and I feel like we were like, well, you promised us all these other payment options. So since we can we're only going to be able to use the SWAT token or the ARC token, we're like, fuck that. Like you guys are just lying to us. Like, and then of course they never created an app. So I mean, like I said, use whatever you want to now with Coinbase or whatever you'd like to. And in the future, we do see like having a token. I'm not a specialist in the token area. I do love crypto, excuse me. And I'm just looking forward to the future, but I'm not sure like where to apply that because I'm not a specialist. And I'm thinking that like probably somebody like you and your team could come up with some kind of application on the platform. That would be really cool. And the whole thing is that like this project and this app is like grassroots. It's by people, it's for people. If there's like anything that is going to make the app more seamless, that somebody wants to give us feedback, then why wouldn't you put it in your app? Like that's the whole problem with all these other apps like Uber and Lyft is that like they've had all the answers. We've given them like the best business model, but they don't want to listen to it. So we're creating our own.
So there is no Agora app. How users would interact is through like a Discord, Telegram, Slack channel, or is it a Facebook group or a Twitter group?
Yeah, so if you go onto your Facebook and you type in Agora Hive, you'll find a whole bunch of different hives. We have like 10 different states set up, so each state will have like a group. We have like our international hive. So our international hive group is where everybody else can fit in, unless you of course want to make your own group. Like I said, it's grassroots, it's organic. Like if you want to grow the network and your market, then make a group, let us know, and we'll add it into onto the page and let people know like this is one of the groups and where to go. We can make you a portal for your state. So like for instance, Oregon has this URL like bit.ly/Oregon Hive. You would find, if you came here like to visit, you would find all the groups like for Facebook already right there. You would find like a link for Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And so like if you're on Twitter, you would like you would go into to try to find the group. So like it's as if you're writing someone, and you just go in and you type Agora Hive and it'll pop up. And you'll see that Agora Hive group, and you can just land in there and start posting whatever you want to, wherever you are. Same thing with the Facebook groups, or let's see, we're on a few different social medias: Facebook, Twitter, Cell411, which is the one that I really suggest if you like the format of Uber and Lyft. But like I said, it keeps 100% local. You do any kind of payment you want and like set your own rates and terms.
What was the name of that one again?
There's also that one is Sell 411, and it's really like it's crazy because Uber and Lyft are like such a shame right now with they're launching their IPO pretty soon, which is them offering stocks to the public, and if the public owns stocks, the public don't want to see those companies fail, and that's a problem for like the world, especially the fact that Sell 411 has already made them antiquated. Like it's just that the public doesn't know it yet, but we have all these other options in front of us. Like I said, Facebook, Twitter, Sell 411, Slack, Telegram, WhatsApp, Zello, and
so
I guess
you said
Google,
you're in 10
Google
states?
So there's like on Facebook there you'll be able to go to like if you search for the Texas Hive, you'll find Nick in there, and like him and his group could provide you services, or like if you were to go and look for like the Michigan Hive, you'd find like that state, etc. And then we have like drivers in different places that can help you out. And if you, like I said, if you don't have a group, you can always make one, or it takes time to do this. Like it's all on a voluntary basis. So like I've been doing graphics, creating the network, etc. Like it takes time to do this, but like we're growing it as much as we can, as fast as we can. So like we really thank you guys for like bearing with us, but we would love some volunteers. I don't know. I think eventually, like once people start hearing about what the drivers and the passengers and the community behind these apps, like what we're doing, I think that people will jump on board, and like we'll see people coming out of the woodwork and say hello.
Yeah, no, it's funny because like people's been posting that meme.
Like definitely by the end of next year, all the economies and everywhere should be sitting pretty. I know I was telling you about like what the community is yesterday. Like I was explaining to you that like it's not just like an app for services and products. Like this is the community. This is like us sharing like savings. This is us sharing reviews, reputation, like rewards. Like we can do teams, we can do good community service. There are so many like organizations out there that are changing the world, and what I really loved, I fell in love with Arcade City when Austin went through what they did starting May 9th 2016, and like seeing drivers get together every weekend to pack lunches and go out there and give it to people who are in need was just like, wow, like we could really change the world. And then I really started thinking about like expanding on that. And I'm like, there are so many other ways that we could all change the world, but we all don't really know how to do it. So if we have a place that we can share and share how to share, then we got it made. Especially this is the first time in human history that we've had this opportunity, so we're taking full advantage of it because social media is free, so why not be able to use that?
All right, well, Nick, how do we get people to start using stuff like this? It just sounds like a lot of steps instead of just opening my app and going to Uber, right? Like, so how do we make it easier, prettier, or how do we incentivize drivers and riders to go through that process of looking for the Slack channels or the group chats and doing the peer-to-peer instead of going through the middleman that is Uber stealing up to 80%? Like, how do we get around this?
Right. There's a few different ways. I think we have to like unite behind a common brand. The only reason why Uber is so successful is because of the network effect. It's so hard to break into this company because they're so financially their financial capital is so strong, and they can kind of just pay off drivers and give bonuses away to kind of lure new drivers into the program. But keep in mind that they are a platform company and that they're only valued because people use them. The moment people stop using Uber and Lyft, the moment their value flips, they're not working. So it's in the airline. Kristen, yeah, I was pumped with it playing, but it's important to remember that they're not unstoppable. Uber's kind of built its house in the sand, so to speak, because you know a shifting sentiment can kind of destroy their value. So just remember they're not unstoppable. What they do have behind them is a lot of technology, a lot of money. But what we have, or what we're offering, or we're proposing to happen, is to people to develop their social capital, which becomes very important. If you haven't looked up what social capital is, I think that's one of our key advantages. If you haven't read the book Swarmwise by Rick Falkvinge, how he started the Swedish Pirate Party with a fraction of the resources of his political rivals, we're going to take his sort of example of using minimal resources to compete with the big boys. And I think building our social capital, which is the networks between people, if we can unite people, the 2 million to 3 million drivers that are out there within a system, we can actually have a fair fight and a fair discussion and a fair competition with Uber. So I think uniting behind a common brand, you know, all these little companies, these little taxi cooperatives, when you land in a new city, you got to download a different app or download this app to get to this company and that company. If all these little companies sort of united behind one app, and then sort of plugged into it, you know, have an open source app where you could bring all of your services under one united kind of global brand, but the brand wouldn't be owned; it would be collectively owned. So everybody it's kind of like a worldwide cooperative. Everyone has a little piece of the action, a little stock option inside the company. And your question earlier about the ICO, for participation into the system, we're going to kind of build a point system. Those point systems, you know, later can turn into coins and things like that down the road. So I think that, you know, like financing it out the gate is going to have to start with a crowd fund. I think crowdfunding is a huge fad right now. It's like the in thing to do. And so I think growing organically, everyone has a sort of feeling of pitching in on the project. So their dollar is going somewhere when they pitch in and donate to us, instead of like, you know, but I think crowdfunding is going to kind of get us there. And then really just putting out an app, you know, getting to the nuts and bolts of it and putting a product out there, you know, within a month or two, and showing that, you know, look what we've came up with for you guys for the money you've pitched in. You know what I mean? And then like taking that initial product and just stepping stone, working with it until, you know, everyone kind of puts in on it. And then once everyone's like, oh wow, this is such a great idea, you know, let me put my 2 cents in. So everyone throws their 2 cents in, and now we got a nice little buzz going. And so, you know, you start to grow it like that. But, you know, I think a common brand, actually get an app out there so we can organize ourselves, because all these Slack channels and all this Twitter stuff, it's great to have on the outside, but I think an app is kind of going to unite the mainstream, kind of bring in everyone. So I think getting a product out there is going to be really important. So pushing that in the next few months is going to be really key. And sort of, you know, doing that before the end of 2019 is very important, because as an individual that's worked for Uber for 4 years, I don't want them, you know, valued as high as they are. I think their valuation is out of control, and they're worth about half of what they are. And so hopefully this project opens the public's eyes about what they've been doing, kind of subliminally and behind the back of, you know, accept this check mark and everything will be okay kind of mentality. So we want to kind of expose them as a company and sort of use that sort of as our shining light, so to speak, you know.
So how do we use blockchain technology, cryptocurrencies to solve some of these problems? Or is this one of those things where we don't necessarily need blockchain? I'm just wondering, like, how do we use this technology to prevent the next Uber to be built, though? You know what I mean? Like, you're saying, like, we have to get behind this company, and that sounds like we're creating a monopoly. And I agree with Kristen. She was saying earlier, you know, how these companies, or I believe it was you, somebody said something about Uber giving away stock options, right? Like, if the public has it, it's in the public's best interest for the company to survive. So, I mean, we don't want to build the next Uber, right? So how do we build something that is powerful without being almighty?
Correct, and that's where that blockchain comes in, because it's very transparent technology, and we definitely want to move our app, take that app in that direction, and I think that's great. I think that's an awesome way to be transparent. And I think that blockchain technology is the wave of the future. I mean, I think it's just as inevitable as automation. I think blockchain is the next wave of computing, and it's just a matter of time before people catch up. So, I mean, I think blockchain is. I think we're going to be living in a transparent world, and we know that we have that in mind in the future. We just
you're at the airport, huh?
Sorry. Fucking airplanes.
What we're seeing though is like the underlying technologies that supporting blockchain aren't as stable as they should be. So I mean, it's really in its infancy, but definitely as it like gets cheaper and stuff, we'll be able to move in that direction to provide that security and transparency. So eventually you see a market where our ICO coin is established and dominant as just a dominant coin as the US dollar, right? I mean, that's what you would want in the say 50 years from now is what these companies want is they want their company to be cryptoly asset. Like say if the Fed put out their own coin, how could your coin compete on the level with the Fed? You know what I mean? So it's like, so that's sort of, we have that mentality, but you're not going to, nobody's going to believe in your coin if you don't put out value. And so we understand that, and we just want to put that value out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, like I said, they don't have to pay with the coin.
Yeah, people want a use case for a coin before they get a coin now. People used to buy coins and think, oh, this is anticipation of said use case. I want to see a use case for a token before I even put it in a wallet.
And that's what that's what Swarm City and Arcade City were doing. It's like, okay, here we're going to sell the coin, but we don't have the product. So hopefully we want to have the product and then sell the coin. You know what I mean? And hopefully that's a more, and it's less fraudulent that way because you actually have something that people are getting instead of a promise. You actually have a product. So I think that's going to be a good approach. But we definitely want to go that direction.
What are some of the hiccups you guys are hitting? Are you just hitting any brick walls you're finding out about? Is there anything giving you any trouble along the way of trying to build something like, a decentralized ride-sharing application? Or
yeah, I think like funding it is going to be a pain in the butt. Right now, as far as the application goes, like nobody knows. Well, not nobody, but like few people know about the community, and so like that's why we're going for the like crowdfund kind of thing, like to raise awareness and like show that we have something better, we could have something better in a few months. But yeah.
Well, what's the cost on something like this? Like how expensive is it? What's like the crowdfunding goal, and what's the ETA? If you had the money, how long would it take?
So it looks like if you get an app outside the States, there's like clone apps that you can buy for like $5,000 that are basically work just like Uber and Lyft. But like I said, South 411 works pretty much just like Uber and Lyft, except for a little better. So we're trying to make something beyond that. So it'd probably stretch into the, like, I would bet around 20 grand at least to have it made in the States.
Features, yeah. It depends on how many features you want to put into your MVP. But I mean, a basic MVP. I mean, Arcade City had that out, and then they pulled it from the whatever store it was on, and then I mean that little thing was just a little simple request schedule app. I mean, that can be done pretty easily, but if you're trying to have functionality of rideshare and to be GPS accurate and all that stuff, you're looking probably anywhere between 50 to 100 grand, depending on what features you're going to add. I talked to a developer in India a few months back, and he said he could do something like Uber for about 50, 60 grand for just an initial product. And then, and that could be, and that product could go live. It wouldn't have any geographic boundaries to it, so we wouldn't have to. It would be like instant wide release. We wouldn't have to open in any market.
You know what's
But
exciting?
yeah,
That price
So
is gonna
funny.
come down real hard, real fast, real soon. You know, like technology gets cheaper over time, especially the means of coding and developing. You know, applications to make applications are made by other applications every day. So, you know, honestly, in a year's time, by the end of next year, it may be 20 grand instead of 50 to 100 because you'll
right.
be able to use a software to make a software that will make you your DApp. You know, like that's exciting stuff,
Sure.
man.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool.
So I mean, if you're talking about crowdfund, I mean, you'd probably just put the number at 50K and
Probably
call it
50,
good,
yeah.
and see if see what people will get interested in.
Well, who's the
But
demographic though, right? Like I would be aiming for drivers. You know, I mean, I'd be talking to all the drivers and saying, you know, you want to get in on this, get in on the ground floor type crap, stuff like that. And if you go through a
Right.
traditional
yeah,
crowdfunding, you know, there is legal recourse. You know, if you end up like not delivering or refunding, there's legal repercussions. It's not like an ICO where people just run away to the Cayman Islands.
yeah,
Fraudsters.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a question about getting a product out there, for us at least. We're not in it for a whole lot of money like out the gate. I mean, sure, we want to, set ourselves up in the future, but right now it's all about hard work and putting a product out there and kind of proving to ourselves, and all of it.
That is a busy airport. Like seriously,
I'm
like they are
so.
really
Yeah,
packing them in today. So
yeah.
Oh my god. I do have.
so
But going,
what are the ways that you're trying to raise capital though? Like if people are interested in trying to support you, where do they go? Are you on like GoFundMe, Kickstarter, Patreon, or what? Like how do people help support Agora Hive?
We're gonna launch a crowdfund next month. We're getting our presentation done like right now. Take it, Nick.
yeah, we had an account. We had a what was the one that the Idenigo thing, the Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, yeah.
Okay.
We had an Indiegogo up there, but it didn't get a whole lot of traction. So we had
We
to.
didn't push it at all.
We didn't push it a whole lot. It didn't really have a whole lot of, um, uh, I don't know, substance to it. But we're putting all the meat to it, all the parts together right now, to kind of redo that. I'm not sure if we're going to do Indiegogo. We might even do a few different crowdfund sites. But that will be if you just go right now. Like Facebook is going to be kind of our main because it's so easy to set up initially. Facebook, everyone is familiar with it. We're going to kind of funnel a whole lot of our volunteerism and kind of grassroots campaigns kind of funneled through Facebook. So if you want more information, I think Facebook's going to be the good resource
It's
to
going
go
to be
to, right?
hard though. They don't let anybody advertise. We've been trying to advertise this thing right here, Satoshi's Ball by
Yeah.
JustLearnCrypto.com, and they won't let us advertise on Facebook that we're having a party because it's Satoshi, because it's crypto. So like, yeah, dude, be careful with trying to like market a cryptocurrency or blockchain project on these platforms that are they are censoring the future.
Our
A lot of,
platform's gonna be different.
right,
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 but
Gosh,
the
yeah.
marketing campaigns though, marketing is key, and the people that
right.
own the
Right.
soapboxes are incentivized to stay centralized, not work for the
Right.
centralization. It sucks. It really does.
It's all about that fucking fiat.
Well, that's the
So we're
problem,
gonna
right?
have
So
that other
imagine if
I
you
would say,
do well, imagine if you do a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe or a Patreon and you raise $50,000, but because you're a blockchain project, they say no and keep your money.
Oh
Now,
yeah.
now what do you do? You know what I mean? Like that's the real problems. I like when people are like, "Oh, dude, ICOs are scams." I'm like, "Yeah, but so's like everything else." Like, you know what I mean? Like if Kickstarter
Yeah.
and GoFundMe and Patreon can hold and freeze
Yeah.
assets because they don't believe in you, like your supporters believed in you, that's a
Oh my
scam.
god.
It's just a different
That's
type
Right.
of
a scam.
scam. It's a scam with a really cool
Sure.
terms and services.
Exposing
Right.
scams today.
Right. I mean, we definitely. I mean, we realize. I mean, those are definitely threats, to like the decentralized world, for sure. We do have to kind of use. We got to use, but with what we got. We got to work with what we got for right now. I wish somebody would just come in and just be like, angel investment from Silicon Valley drops $1 million on our heads tomorrow. Like, sure, but then we got to give them a piece of the action and give them kind of control, and then you get into is it really decentralized at that point? So
I've seen HBO Silicon Valley. I'm really familiar. I've watched all the seasons. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah,
I have watched it. I know it's pretty cutthroat out there. So do you see like Swarm City and Arcade City coming back and fulfilling their promises, or are they a scam? Did they officially just scam everybody? Because I feel like I was fucking scammed. I kind of feel scammed. But, like, I don't know, like, am I, or is it just an emotional thing, not a factual thing? Like, what do you think? Do you think that they're going to come back and finish their promises? Like, is Arcade going to come out with that app? Is Swarm going to finally come out with one, or are they going to keep building the community? Like, what do you guys think? Because I know you're working on...
So what if they do? So what if they do? It's junk anyways. That's what I got. That's all I got for you, like... It's like I said, they are going to want you to use specifically either your bank card or your SWT token or your ARC or ARCD, whatever the fuck it is, token. They just keep on spitting off these stupid ICOs and like not producing anything. I really like in this much time through all the bullshit that we've been through, especially like working like directly with the core of Swarm City. Like what we've been through, it's total scam. I'm done. Like, even if they produce something, it's not even going to be what we have is going to be insurmountable.
Right.
I don't.
The only thing, everyone thinks you have this great idea. When it comes down to marketing, can they market their product? And that's what it's all about. If you can't market, then you're not a winner. So yeah. They need to think about that.
We are the force that drives Uber and Lyft. Like, if they don't want to fuck with us because they've fucked with us. So I don't know. They've already like dug their own grave or whatever. They can sleep in their own bed.
Yeah, but things like Uber and Lyft are like they keep people safe. People feel safe when they use them because they know they're not going to get a bad driver or something like that. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
But it's kind of cut now. So like if they have we were talking about the rapes and the arbitration and even if you have like a bad driver on Cell 411, everybody knows what happened. On our social media, on our network, I'm like holding my phone upward. Everybody like knows what happened if somebody does something bad, and that's why like at Arcade City, what I noticed is that everybody is legit. Like nobody does anything fucked up because they know that there's a network behind that driver or that passenger that can see what happened because they can go report it right after the ride or right after that transaction.
Yeah, I've heard of Uber drivers being threatened with fake bad reviews. So, like, even if we have trustlessness reviews and stuff, it's still a garbage in, garbage out problem that we have with everything. It's not like blockchain makes everybody honest. People could still say this driver touched my ass on the way out of the car, and now I got a free ride, and the driver lost his job. It doesn't matter blockchain or not. Like, they're the real problems we have to figure out how do we solve, like the trustless aspects,
Right, and I think that's a big, a really good point. That's a big issue is with these Uber drivers. You don't know if you can actually trust them or not. Like you were saying, people feel safe because they're insured, and I think that's the only reason why people feel safe. But I mean, if the customers knew about these scams that go on, especially there's like a mafia here at the Austin airport that will put like multiple accounts, like they'll have like 2 or 3 accounts for like one driver, and they'll go stash cell phones overnight at this little waiting area to keep their cell phone in place at the top of the list. So when they roll back there in the morning, they're the first one in line. So I mean, little things like that. I mean, that's multiple accounts. I mean, there's all kinds of shady safety things that are being safety policies that are being skirted on a daily basis. So it's like this false sense of security. Once you expose that, then people will really start to think, wow, is it really that safe? There's a lot of hidden secrets about Uber. or whatever. I mean, just from personal experience, I know a lot of them. But our system is kind of like more like a social network kind of attached to it, and that's what Arcade City had going for it. Swarm City didn't have that sort of social input. Everything was sort of like you had to be on the boardwalk, and everything was like kind of a digital world. We're adding that like human element to the rideshare, and that kind of like neighborly feel. So like everyone has their home, and everyone's going to declare where their home zone is. So if I'm a driver, my home is over here, this certain zone. So that gives you a feeling like, okay, well, this guy's from here. And then you're also going to have like vouches. So a person's going to vouch for me personally. I'm going to have like 100 people that vouch for me. So if you got a problem with me, ask one of my partners. People are going to have these affiliations are going to be built in where I'm going to be affiliated with like these 10 guys. Like we're a part of a crew. If you got, problems with me, go take it up with one of my crew members. We can all hash this out. I mean, there's going to be a public forum built in to where you really want to bash a driver, bash them in the public forum. You know what I mean? So you'll be able to call these people out kind of in public. I think bringing the public forum into rideshare will solve a lot of these issues that you're mentioning.
Oh, that could be said for almost any industry. I really wish almost every industry would involve the public more in their conversations. Like Twitter, I feel like gives people that false sense. It's like the new comment box. Drop a comment in the comment box, and it just like made you feel better. Like, I fucking hate the elevator. It always closes too fast, and it catches my foot. Like, now you tweet that shit to companies, and you feel like they're listening, but they're not. They got to bring the public conversation into the companies more. Or we see what happens. People choose to leave, and customers don't come back. They choose to go somewhere else, and that's when paradigms shift in any industry when it comes to customers and services. If you lose them, you lost them. We've seen what happened with a lot of companies, and Toys R Us, Sears, a bunch of these are like nobody goes to get their picture taken anymore. You know what I mean? You get a tripod and you set a timer. So, like, technology can make or break the way your business works if you don't include the customer's opinion in the conversation. So, where's Agora Hive going next year? What's the 2019 roadmap look like?
Well, right now, as far as it goes, I've got, I don't know if you can see this, there's like stickers, like a sticker that I made that's like Uber Lyft. Right there. So it just kind of like gets it out there to other drivers. Like, hey, it's out there. You can start something new. Like, come and ask me what this is about. So like we're building our network right now. Next year, we'll like this December, we're doing our crowdfund. Next year, we should be looking at like the first month at finding a dev team, like having a dev team, and then like throwing them the documents that we have prepared for like designs and concepts and like the actual like business plan that Nick's put together. And like there's a lot of stuff that's gonna happen in 2019, but I think like about 2 or 3 months in, we should have it ready. I think like February or March we should be doing beta tests with drivers like everywhere. So right now it's all about like letting people know, you can start saving 100%, keep 100% of your money, start, providing all of your service, whatever, and then like grow your market. And so that when we have this app, especially next year, like everybody everywhere is going to be ready to go. And like the advertising is going to be done like overnight. Like we're going to just make the switch.
Yeah.
So February and March, like we want to just be able to hop on the other platform and like have a community ready to go for business and for community.
And for the drivers out there that might be interested and listening, you can still work for Uber and Lyft, and we actually encourage people to use Uber and Lyft as a networking tool to sort of get their customers on our side. Basically, tell them, hey, I know you're paying about $100 for this ride. Would you be interested in the similar ride for $80? And people will be like, yeah, sure, that'd be awesome. Then you throw them your link or whatever, your sign up link to the app, and boom, now you have a future customer. So
I think that's against the rules, though. People might get fired.
No, this is what's great. Okay, so what's against the terms?
fair. It's fair. It's fair game. I have my own personal customer base that I've built over the years through Uber. So I'm not, there's people who like drive around LA and sell jewelry in their car.
Oh no,
Yeah.
I know, man.
Yeah.
I bought weed from an Uber driver before, so I totally get the hustle. I just worry
Yeah.
about like, I don't want to get anybody in
Whoa.
trouble incentivizing them
Right.
to say, hey, you should download this app and fuck
Right.
Uber, and then
No,
they get fired
the
by
one-
Uber.
The one thing that you can't do, terms of service, like specifically, is like you cannot tell them delete Uber or delete Lyft. What you can do is, like Nick said, though, is like, hey, would you like to try something else? There's this one called Cell 411 or whatever the fuck. Like, you can use Facebook if you want to. Like, just go and request there. Done deal. Like, and then of course, like Nick said, you can have your own private clientele too.
So I think
So is there like a hashtag or anything people could use to try to get like an alert or something? I know that there was some hashtagging going on earlier in like the crypto rideshare world. Is there anything like that?
Right. So originally, Arcade City / Swarm City set up what we called. We started setting up hashtag Need a Ride groups around the states on Facebook, so that the hashtag would pop up. Right now, the hashtag that I've got going on is like hashtag 503 uncensored is for Portland. So like whatever area code you are, it would just be like hashtag area code uncensored. Or we can switch it up. We can switch it up if everybody thinks like it's another better idea to do like hashtag 503 Portland, because I know like there are other cities like Salem, for instance, that have the same
Right.
area code. So I could do like hashtag 503 Portland, hashtag 503 Salem. Like that's an option, and we could all like grow the network like that. But yeah, that's a hashtag idea.
Yeah, I always thought the hashtagging thing was pretty cool because it was as quick as opening the app or whatever. The traditionally, you just like, hey, I need a ride from A to B, and you get people commenting that are like, oh, I'm in the area, because you have like
Right.
location settings and stuff. Like, there's so many. Like, I really don't even like understand why most people like. I get the infrastructure and all that of Uber and Lyft and these other companies, but like once you were saying, Nick, just use that infrastructure to build your own network, and you can make 100% instead of 30 or 20% revenue, like Kristen was talking about. It just baffles me that people don't want to just be like, here's my business card, and just call or text me
Yep.
if you need a ride. Don't open the
Yep.
app. It doesn't make sense, but I mean, I didn't.
Business card.
I hope more drivers
Do it.
are
Do it,
being
damn it. And
incentivized and savvy to do that. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
know.
yeah, I
We've
mean,
got. Go ahead.
thing
sorry.
is I think like the easiness of it, like because Uber's so easy that like people don't want to get your business card and figure out schedule a date with you or whatever. They just want to like hit
Yeah,
the on
but to
demand button.
save 20 or 30% on your ride, schedule the fucking ride, like
Yeah, dude. You've
It's a
got
drive.
things like Calendly. Like you're using Calendly. That's a great way to schedule. Another thing I use is youcanbook.me. Like there are other options that you can get for scheduling.
Yeah,
And you don't have to pay shit.
Yeah, there's ways consumers can save tons of money even without us today. If they just did it the right way. I mean, but we just like bring it like right in front of their face is what you have to do. I mean, with people as they're just consumers, they want it so everything's so handed to them and so easy, and that's what these platform companies are doing. They're aggregating services and making this huge network and charging these ridiculous service fees for making it so easy, And so if we can make it easy and not have to pay a service fee, then let's do it. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible, and I think that's what we need to focus on, like to just make it simple. We don't want to overthink this whole thing.
So if there's any drivers listening or people that are interested in more peer-to-peer ride sharing, there's links in the description box below. Kristen, Nick, let everybody know where they can find you, find out about the project, get more involved with the progression of Agora Hive. Just let people know verbally, but again, there are links in the description box below.
Thanks so much, Bravo. All right. Yeah. As far as it goes, find us on social media, on your Facebook, Twitter, etc. Like we've already talked about this. Come on, drop on in, say hi, or like you can post your services or your products, or like if you have somebody that you want to refer, something you want to refer, something you want to share, like share how to share. Come on in, do that, and then like sharing it with your community as far as that goes. Like we just showed you, get a business card. Put your business card on one side. On the flip side, put the network. I always hand them out to my passengers, and I let them know if they need other services from me, they can. But if I'm too busy, they can go to the network for sure. So there's that, and also like we can get this out to our community via restaurants with stickers. So just like Uber, Lyft, Postmates, whatever, we can get them delivery. I mean, these restaurants are paying like 35% like for Uber Eats from every sale, and they could save that just by going directly to the driver, just by sending their customer straight to the driver. Excuse me. So that the stickers around town at restaurants and grocery stores, even groomers or hotels, like it'll get us business just by these other businesses helping us out and like help their customers out. So it's all a cycle, and it's our market, and it's by the community, and it's the local economy. So
well,
you're putting
in the extra effort to take back your 80%. So you're earning it back. I just hope more people are inspired to earn it back as well. And Nick, where can people find you and what you're doing and keep up to date with the project or your end?
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Facebook. Just search Nicholas Fowler and send me a friend request. There's a lot of things that are happening as far as on the non-disclosure level. So I'm more of like a personal person, and anyways like that. But as far as like my end, I'm in the process of kind of developing my own website right now. That's all in the works. This sort of business is sort of new for me, so I'm kind of developing my own brand and stuff as I go along. So I have a whole blog. I have a blog coming in the works with a whole bunch of Uber hacks. Basically, I know a whole bunch of Uber hacks after the 4 years of driving. So I'm going to blog about Uber and rideshare and how we can sort of change the future or whatever, but just kind of have like a blog about rideshare in general. That's in the works, not out yet. But if you just find me on Facebook, and then also visit our website. It's agorahive.com. It's AGORAHYVE. We're going to be doing some updates to that website, but just put that in your bookmarks and just go to agorahive.com every few weeks and visit our page for our updates that way. So yeah, and then I'm on Twitter as well. I don't post a whole lot on there. I think it's linked to my Facebook, but it's at WhatItDo512. It's WATITDO 512. You can find me there as well.
All right, cool, guys. All right, and either one of you can take this, or you can both take a shot at it. But I like to ask a guest at the end of the show, what is the Agora Hive elevator pitch? Like, you're wearing your Agora Hive t-shirt, and somebody's like, "What's that? What's the elevator pitch?"
I tried at the start. If you want to go, Nick, let's chill.
It's up to you. You could flip the coin on that. I'll pass it to you, Kristen.
Damn. So,
go ahead.
Agora Hive is a community that powers social media and other apps. It's all local and global. So, oh God, I feel so stupid.
I'll put it this way: if you want to be a part of the to destroy capitalism and restore economic justice in the world, then follow our project. If you believe that capitalism should die, and that the people should band together to destroy any evil in the world, then yeah, follow our project.
Viva la revolution!
There you go.
There you go. Hey, John Red, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Much love, bro. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the chat, please go ahead and bang that thumbs up button. Don't forget to click on subscribe and flick the alert bell right next to subscribe so you get a notification every time I go live. Thank you, guys, and have a day.
Much love.
Sweet.